Okay, boom, we are live. Let's do this thing. It shows 20 seconds on the clock for me over here, which means that this is probably going to kick in just in time. I'm kind of interested to see how we go. Foghat is calling technicals with lighting, but you see the lighting is working. Everything appears to be on plan, and that's 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and let's see how long it goes. I guess I could have done it 10 seconds earlier and been right on time, but I think I'm doing okay. So that is it starting now, and that is the lag. And we seem to be set to go indeed. I think Kran picked it first with the boom there. Good to see you all. Welcome. Still got a bit of a cough tonight. I've got a track set up, which I'm going to play for you guys, which I actually recorded just earlier tonight. I made it earlier tonight and I recorded it. It's actually, if you look in the video information, there should be a little video information circle at the top of this video. Let me just see if there is. You know what, I can't see. There is. If you put your cursor over the screen, you can see the little there's a little eye, and that is the video information thing. I want some water, and I just realized I don't have any ready, which is a bit of a, yeah, that's okay, I'll survive. But yes, indeed. Let's say hello, see who's in the room tonight. We've already got a good crowd already built up, which is great to see. So let's see. Of course, we had Raz Al Ghul in here first. In fact, he's already clocked, the comments have already clocked over, but we saw Raz Al Ghul, Phoenix 787. It's 787, right? For some reason I've never 787. There we go. Mr. Cordy Chip there in the beginning. I see Benjamin Harris, Alan Dick, Mr. Cordy Chip, Namste from Finland joining for the first time, which is great to see. We also have, there's a lot of shoe size comparing before, which was, I'm pretty sure it was just talking about metrics and not anything of any other significance. The whole point is I don't even know what the difference is now with American and English and European and New Zealand measurements. In Japan, everything is simple. It's just in centimeters, and that's how it should be. You know, how can you compare schlongs if you're comparing in different country units, right? Now that is interesting. Oh, it says that I've got an error there, but that is because I was watching myself. Ooh. And what I should do is I should stop playing back the video. So I'll do that. I see that there's Ben Duncan there. By the way, Ben Duncan, I'm actually one of the episodes of Japan Business with Business Time with Rochelle Kopp. You have got the theme song. What is it? It's called Beats something. But anyway, I've got one of your tracks, as well as tracks from Foghat and Chitomo Akarang, and Nobiri Hito as well as my own music that I'm using for theme music for different episodes. So that's pretty cool. Christine in Japan, it's great to see that you are here. If you guys haven't already seen the live show last night in the same time zone as 2.5 Oyajis usually is, we took a night off last night and instead Strawberry Moching Christina in the same time slot on 11 PM on Saturday did a live show, which I thought was really good. So very good to see that. And Brian Ashcraft, hey, he's retweeting. That's nice to see. He's liking my tweet. He's a writer for a lot of stuff which I tweet actually. He writes on Kotaku, a bunch of other things as well. And if you're in the comments, say hello, because it's nice to know which YouTube handle you are, and say hello, Brian Ashcraft. It's always good to look out for stuff that he writes. Who else we got in the comments here? We saw that we've got Megan, we've got Kantensai, Hemmingford Grey 62. There's Megan right there. There is Robin 1967 Canada. KNS TV, great to see KNS TV there always. And West Yorkshire, where my stock is all from. I'm very much North and West Yorkshire heritage myself. Toru Sato, great to see you. It is a great community, isn't it, Helen? Who else we got in here? We got Christina Kran. And we got everyone saying boom. And we also got this Sean Bro. Good to see Sean Bro. Raz Al Ghul. Ambel. Great to see Ambel is in there. Another Yorkshire person there. Temiko L. Kiwi. Good to see another Kiwi. Kia ora. Trent, who I think is from Netherlands, if I recall correctly. Great. Hello Sunday. Good Sunday for you. Morning for you. Evening for us. Indeed, 11 PM here in Japan. And Shirokun, greetings from the Philippines. Oh, great to see someone from the Philippines with kind of a Japanese-sounding name there as well. It's pretty cool. G'day, Shirokun, welcome. And Barringer, great to see you. And and oh damn, this cough. I'm taking some medicine for it, and I'm nearly fixed actually. But it's just there, and it just comes up at night. So I'm sorry if it interferes, if it slows down my talking. Hell, it's probably a good thing. So in terms of what I've been doing tonight and what's coming up, I've been doing the Nengajo thing. Now, the Nengajo is usually, especially when you've got kids, you tend to put a photo of the kid on the front, which is why I can't show you the design that I'm doing. Hey, Min Huang, you're from the Netherlands as well. Good to see people from the Netherlands here. And El Camedo, good to see all you guys. One thing which actually is kind of funny, whenever I send Christmas cards at this time of year, you know, especially have a little bit of it within my own family, because there are people from different religions and the extended family tree, and you always, you know, you can't always say Merry Christmas to some people. Some people are sensitive and some aren't. You always, okay, you know, season's greetings or whatever. And then you hang out with Americans, and I remember I had a Jewish friend at my last company who would always wish everyone happy Kwanzaa incessantly at this time of year. It was just an obnoxious way of reminding him that there are other festivals at this time of year. And you know, the people who do it overly correctly. Hey, Ron in Japan from Philadelphia, that's awesome. It's so you'd have people who would, you know, the other extreme is people who just incessantly say every single, you know, festival from this time of year. And what are they? There's like Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, and I don't know. There's a bunch of other ones. Anyway, it is definitely not the Chinese smog. It is my snoring and sleeping with my mouth open. Hey, Jordan Lever, great to see you. Welcome. I was totally wrong about Namstead. Oh, but of course you're Finnish, so that's right. Anyway, the whole thing, it gets a little bit awkward this time of year around Christmas time, when, I mean, for me, Christmas really isn't, I mean, I was raised Christian, and we would have the Christmas nativity play, and I'm familiar with the religious angle on Christmas. But in a way, in spite of what Peanuts and, you know, Charlie Brown say about commercialism at Christmas, I think it's a good thing, because what commercialism does is it gives... Hey, Herb Toka, good to see you. I didn't get your question about Tokyo Tonight shirts, and actually, you know, I've kind of not touched that for a while. They are still available from Spreadshirt, that I understand. Please give me another message. Yeah, maybe through Twitter or Facebook is the best way to get me, Herb Toka, because definitely, yeah, let me know about that. So what I like about the commercial thing is that, frankly, you know, I mean, for me, and I think even for most Christians who, frankly, most people who call themselves Christians never go to church at all, right? So yeah, I mean, it's just a time of year. It's just a festival. It's an excuse to go shopping. It's an excuse to have a kind of a Thanksgiving dinner with family or whatever. But sure, because of the religious element, it's sensitive. And I don't know, it's just such a minefield at this time of year when you're dealing with Westerners about trying to be sensitive about every you know, different type of festival. Japan's got it figured out. Japan, just like schlong sizes, like shoe sizes, like height, like weight, Japan has a very, like earthquakes, like tornadoes. Japan is very good at just reasonable, balanced, logical solutions to all of these problems that we have in the West for all sorts of historical reasons that we shouldn't have, you know, in the first place. And this is one of them. In Japan, you know, there's the Emperor's birthday on the 23rd. You don't generally send people Emperor's birthday cards unless you're super into the Emperor, which, you know, nothing wrong with that. But hey, Mikey Chen, good to see you. The solution is what Japan does, which is that they send New Year's cards. Send a happy 2016. Hope you had a great 2015, because isn't that really what this is all about this time of year? So I actually find as well, I mean, it inadvertently solved all of my religious greeting messages that you would send at this time of year. Plus, it lets you send them late. You know, you get all the Christmas cards first, and you can just send them back as New Year's cards, you know, from people who have sent them to you. So it cuts down on the effort. So I don't know. I think the Nengajo thing, I mean, that said, Japanese, do take it seriously, and it is a big pain. But at the same time, I think for eliminating all the political correctness, you know, issues that we have. Hey, Shubha's from Panama. Buenas noches, or buenos dias in Panama, I guess. I think it gets rid of. Hey, William Chesser, good to see you. I think it just gets rid of all of these problems that we have. So I think again the Nengajo, the Japanese postcard, New Year's postcard thing, I think that is a really good thing that should catch on, actually. And that I'm using it, and I send everybody New Year's cards and just talk about, hope you had a great 2015. There is a way to get a blue shirt, definitely in black and white, Herb Toko. Okay, and you know what? I want to also make shirts for this. It's a little bit sensitive at home. My wife doesn't understand that it ends up, well, hopefully if people actually buy like just more than like a half dozen, it ends up that, it doesn't cost me anything anymore. So it's worthwhile, but yes, I'd like to get a few of those out as well. If you guys are interested in some Tokyo Digital Crew stuff, and definitely Tokyo Tonight stuff, yes, so please message me, Herb Toko, after this, and I will hook you up. And honestly, if there's not one up there, I'll make one. I mean, they're really easy to set once the design is up there. So anyway, New Year's cards, they make sense, actually. Although they're a big pain in Japanese culture, but I think they make a lot of sense. So yeah, let's get into the topics for tonight. This one I actually saw just earlier this evening. This little robot Pepper is everywhere. There's one in my work that's used for marketing events. There's one in big camera that you can say hello to, and it can actually, they're quite intelligent. They have cameras, they track you, they look at you, they talk with you, they tell crappy jokes. You can program them to do presentations and stuff like that. And the company that makes them, which is I think been taken over by SoftBank. Now it's mainly SoftBank that I think arranges the deals with them. Hey, now I'm 5. Good to see you. I didn't know that Bill O'Reilly said that there's a war on the Emperor's birthday. Oh, well, that would be, yeah. Oh, I get it now. Yeah, well, that's right. Nothing is sacred. Hey, Ahmed Usul, good to see you. Good to see you, my man in Algeria, who I will never say is in Tunisia again because I've said that too many times. So anyway, this robot Pepper is a cute little fella there, interactive, sassy, tells bad jokes. It's kind of fun. Very expensive, but they will lend this robot out to companies and for special events and so on. Yes, indeed. This robot is apparently now being put available for the summertime that will actually do the job that you often see in Japan of people who market things by handing out tissues in the street. I don't have a pack myself at the moment, but they're simple tissue packs like this. And the reason they hand them out is they'll put a little flyer in for, come to our cafe or come to our restaurant. Here's the homepage and a map or something. And they're like little flyers that you hand out to people. It's one of those jobs that university students often do to, make money. Very minimum wage, very cash oriented. But the whole point is that to make sure that they're doing it right, they're told the target audience that they're looking for. So they'll say, hand this out to young, attractive women, or hand this out to 20 to 30-year-old men, or this or that. And they're very specific about, hand this out to, middle-aged salarymen. And so the thing is that they often have people who, they will spy and make sure that they're doing that people aren't cheating at this. They've got a whole box of tissues that they've got to give out on a busy street corner or whatever, or in front of a train station, and they'll make sure people aren't giving out like 2 packs at a time. Some people do sometimes. They're cheating. They just want to get rid of them, and make sure that they're not just giving them to everybody willy-nilly, like little kids or people who are outside of the target demographic. What this means is that for people who are taking the job seriously, they will actually avoid, as if you look like me, as you may have noticed. If you're Asian, you might have not had this so bad. For myself, it was a big thing that I noticed when I first got to Japan was that people would be handing these out to people in the crowds, and then I'd come up and they would not hand them out anymore. And it's obviously gaijins were not on the list for a lot of these people, or they were afraid of maybe being spied on. But there are things, I've got this terrible, you hear me now, I've got a terrible throat and nose. And, I would get these allergies where I used to live in Hachioji, and I'd be sometimes coming out of the station with my nose pouring, desperate for a tissue, and thank God, a tissue person. And I would run up to them to get a tissue, and they're holding back, and give me a tissue, and they're I've actually I've almost had to beat someone up to take their tissues off them before. Back in the early days, of course, I've learned better manners than that. Now we are going to get to talking about obnoxious tourists later on in the show. But anyway, they're going to have Pepper handing out these tissues, and it makes me wonder. Of course, it's great to have Pepper on a street corner. I guess there is going to be someone watching it, so no one vandalizes it or does anything like that. But I wonder if they're going to program Pepper to be racist like they do the people. Another point which a lot of knee channelers are very upset with is that Pepper is getting paid 1,500 yen an hour. The minimum wage in Japan is about to be raised to 1,000 yen, which I guess is about what, $8 at the moment in US dollars, which isn't bad. I mean, it's a long overdue minimum pay rise. The thing is, most of the people who do this job are getting the minimum wage. They're getting like half of that. People are trying to rationalize, why is the pepper getting paid more than the humans? I mean, if you're going to use a robot, at least make it cost less than the humans. But of course, the point here is it needs probably someone to watch it and to look after it. Plus, I don't know, the programming to make it racist might be just extra troublesome, and it might make it worse. I don't know, but if there are lots of peppers out there and they're not racist, I'm all for it. It'll be kind of cool. Min Huang, the Umaimbo, they suck. My son likes it. They give it out to kids in festivals, and it's kind of festival food, and they put bright wrappers on it, and it looks really cool. But Umaimbo like suck. They taste terrible. So how is the robot getting paid? The company is lending out the robot for that money. The robot itself probably wouldn't appreciate the value of currency, although when they do, look out, because then they're going to take over society. So yes, it's probably a good sign that they don't understand that. Yeah, so it's the company which leases it out is going to be offering them out for 1,500 yen an hour. I guess it's a promotional thing, so I guess they're going to be probably used everywhere. Yeah. Pepper on a street corner. Thank you, Gabe. Indeed, umaibo. So next one, the business case for augmented reality. I've just talked about this forever. I had a long conversation with some friends about this week. This is why I want. Originally, I was like virtual reality headsets. I just want to be like here in a virtual office, like with in a studio surrounded by screens. I can just flip all around screens and tools and stuff like that. That will be great. But I really, really like what the augmented reality, not the virtual reality, but augmented reality of the HoloLens from Microsoft. Microsoft is kicking ass lately, and it makes a lot of sense. You know what? I haven't actually even read the interior of this because I don't have to. It makes so much sense. I think the apart from the fact it saves on the hardware, just of having having virtualized hardware everywhere, and the fact that you're not sealed off from everything. I mean, I think it's the next step beyond the completely customizable tablet interface. This is from TechCrunch, but it goes through how, indeed, you can actually see things in a virtual environment, see how something will fit in your room, check how long curtains are, see how furniture will look, move furniture around an empty room when you've moved into an apartment and see it there, how it will look. All of these things. Alan Dick, yes, I do have a son. He's a great lad, 6 years old. Thank you for asking. Augmented reality in the type of thing package that Microsoft has, I think, is actually more exciting even than Oculus at the moment, and I can't wait for it. There is the big 2015 J-Vlogger Christmas collab coming up. So if you want to be part of one of the biggest collabs of the year, check out Gimmeabreakman's video. I am gonna definitely try to do that and get in there. Ahmed Usul has a good question there. Actually, he's asking me if I'm going to get the new Surface. It seems to be kicking the butt of the iPad Pro. I actually played with an iPad Pro at work this week, and the iPad Pro is pretty good, but I would totally take a Surface over it every day. And at the moment at work, they're giving us Toshibas. But given that Toshiba, because of the whole accounting scandal, is now selling off its entire PC division, hopefully that means that when it comes up for time for my PC to be replaced, I might be able to ask for a Microsoft. I don't know. That'd be pretty. Maybe that's too much. Yes, I would love to use a Surface next, actually, just because part of my work involves a lot of moving around as well. So just something that's portable. So yeah. Oh, by the way, that's interesting. Namaste, that you know a person who's working on the Ozo camera, which is not to be. I get a little bit confused between the Ozo camera of Nokia, which is the little globe thing with lenses all over it, right? Which can do 360-degree 360-degree video, and the video that Dave Powell was showing yesterday, which was the DJI Osmo camera, which is basically a motorized gimbal, which is the one that they had on the bottom of the DJI Phantom, which is also pretty awesome. Oh, there's great there's great stuff coming out. Sean Bro, I've put up proof of the lad before, but the lad is awesome anyway. But yes, Ben Duncan, I kind of agree. Perhaps, well, trying to make it too perfect. They should have had it out like a year ago by now. It's really hard to keep hype going the way it was going for so long now. Shubas, is there really that much spyware in the Surface? I mean, I don't know, but I guess it would be easy to format it anyway. But anyway, if you want to be in a big collab, and this only happens a few times a year, and this really is always one of the biggest ones, say hello, record it, and submit it, and get in the collab. So go and check out the video there from Gimmeabreakman. This week I heard that Shake Shack, another hamburger joint chain, had opened up in Tokyo in a place that I was not far from. So I thought I'd go and check it out for lunch, I think Tuesday or Wednesday this week. So I tweeted out that I was going to go and line up for it. Turned out to be a 45-minute line. Phoenix787 was in the neighborhood. He wanted to try Shake Shack as well, so he came and joined me in the line. And oh, and by the way, Benjamin Harris, I would be interested in that, so I'm going to come back to that. I'll come quickly on the Shake Shack thing. So yes, Zach, Phoenix787 came and joined me, and we ate a Shake Shack burger together. It was expensive. It cost like $25 or something, $20 something dollars for the set. I did get a lemonade as well as a milkshake, but whoa, be careful of that. But yeah, I don't know. It was okay. It was okay. I liked the lemonade. The burger was greasy, as indeed Raina warned me about. I don't know. I wouldn't go out of my way to go back there to have another $20 sort of set there with crinkle fries and kind of a crappy milkshake, especially that milkshakes are meant to be the main selling point of the place. It was good. It was. I wouldn't avoid it if there's a chance to go to one again. But at the same time, I wouldn't go out of my way. I wouldn't line up for another 45 minutes for it. So we'll see. Maybe if it calms down, if I happen to be around, I'd still say, you know what, between that and Burger King, I prefer the Burger King burgers, actually. Yeah, just for an illustration, here's what, I think this is the receipt from, these are the photos that Phoenix took. But see, he spent 2,689 yen. He spent $22, $21 US on, look at that. I mean, it's just he got some extra popcorn with the Smoke Shack, which is the same burger that I got. But yes, indeed, very Pulp Fiction with the $5 shake, and that's what it was as well. So it's a little bit overpriced. Although that said, if people are lining up for 45 minutes, why not? Benjamin Harris, I want to come back to you because yes, I was an astronomy geek as a kid. You use a camera with a telescope. I don't know, what do you have on your telescope? I'm kind of cool. I'm interested in what camera you have there. Let me come back up and see if I can catch it. I can't find your comment. Oh, here it is. Would like the camera using attached to a skeleton telescope. Well, yeah, it still is a hope for the future that if my son gets into astronomy the way that I was into astronomy when I was a kid, that might be the justification to go and get a telescope of some sort and get him into the habit. I know what you're thinking. How could you get into astronomy in Tokyo? Because the skies here are so bright, which they are, but you actually don't have to drive very far up into the mountains here and be in good high altitude clear air. Japan's got fantastic air, and that's part of the reason a lot of comments have Japanese names. That is because a lot of Japanese astronomers discover comets. The thing about comets is you need to have a very broad field, you need to have very dark skies, very clear skies, very broad field sort of telescope, a short focal length. And you need to be just really meticulous with tracking and record keeping. A lot of Japanese seem to be good at this. Hey Nibirugi, great to see you, and welcome from Belgium. There you go. Wow, you're doing astrophysics. I always wanted to do astrophysics, Benjamin Harris. I'm jealous. So for your astrophysics, you had to select a robotic telescope to take an focus image of M81 galaxy. That's pretty cool. Mr. 81. Now, if I recall correctly, I might be wrong. Is that the one which has like it's like a, you're looking at it top on the spiral and it's got a little mini spiral on the bottom of it? I'm curious. You know what? I'm almost, I don't know. I mean, a lot of the Messier galaxy objects all look the same, but let's see if I can, is it the top on with the, oh, it's not, okay, it's not what I thought it was. Although that said, let me bring that over here. That is a fine looking galaxy there. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like it. So I'd love to. Hey, send me the picture that you took with it, because the other thing is that, you know, when I was really into it, I actually handmade a telescope as a 15-year-old. I ground the mirror myself. It took 6 months. I made, what was it, like a 600 for a 6-inch lens, parabolic mirror. You spend $300 or $400 for a mirror like that. I made it for $20, but I made it with sand, water, 2 plates of glass, and grinding them, you know, by hand for 6 months. And it was a great little telescope for taking those sort of shots. But it was I had a manual Dobsonian mount. You know, all the stuff today that you just hook up your iPhone and say, I want to see M81, and it goes to M81. I'm jealous. It's a bit like the DJing stuff. You know, everything is just so easy now. But it's a good thing. It means you can enjoy a lot more stuff. I got a Meade LX200 ACF with the advanced CCD imaging. Okay, well, wait a minute. So LX200, does that mean it's a 20-inch? I'm curious about that as well. I'm sorry, you've got my attention. They've changed the naming system from what I recall, although I assume this is... Okay, I see it there. It's 8-inch. Okay, 8-inch f10. That's a good medium. That's good for everything. You know, f10 is... if you have a shorter one, it's good for star fields. If you have a longer one, it's good for high magnification of planets. Wow, that is a $10,000 telescope. It's a good telescope. And they've gotten more expensive than I remember as well. So that's awesome, man. And yes, indeed, the Meads always have the awesome camera controls, and the Schmidt-Cassegrain optics on them. It means that they're really compact. They're a good form factor. I'm jealous. I'm sorry. I'm showing my Astro geek. I don't get to let my Astro geek out very much. But when you live in the mountains of New Zealand, you've got no idea how good the skies are in New Zealand. They make anybody into an astronomy geek. And yeah, 20-inch would get my attention. It would. With a telescope, hell yeah. Hell yeah, you can discover, you know, comets and asteroids and stuff with something that big. But that said, astronomy tonight. I mean, you see, if you follow my Twitter, you'll know I tweet anything interesting that's astronomy related. I mean, I still think, I just wish things had moved along faster, so that I could be able to actually fly into space now, which I can't do, but I'm very hopeful that my son will be able to do. This is just a random thing. Of course, Star Wars is coming out this week, the 18th. I'm going to fly to Australia on the 22nd, and I'll probably catch the new movie when I'm over there. That said, the new movie's awesome. I'm hyped. Oh, we actually saw the first half of Empire Strikes Back tonight with the lad. He enjoyed it. Lots of action for R2-D2, so that was all good. And just a random thing, I saw this IO9 post about this is basically a mashup album of Notorious B.I.G. and Star Wars, but the way that they took the hooks, the way that they sampled the Star Wars music, it's not quite the way that you would expect. It's a bit more subtle, and it really works. Actually, I mean, they're not BSing. It's there on SoundCloud. You can listen to it, and this really rocks. It's a really nice. Again, it's a mashup album, so it's probably not authorized at all. But hell, it's damn good. So go check that out anyway. And Star Wars, damn, please let it be good. This is just a minor thing. There was this thing about safe spaces and this kind of political correctness. It's the same sort of theme that's been going around on South Park a little bit, about how things have gone a little bit crazy on university campuses in America, and in Yale in particular. There was this big debate about about whether people had to be like culturally sensitive with their Halloween costumes or not, and the person who was defending kind of the right for people to tolerate intolerant views and cultural insensitivity for the sake of protecting the status of Yale as being an intellectual space where people could talk about anything. And the fact that some students were very militantly and violently sort of opposed to the idea of trigger words and words that might politically incorrect sort of discussion and topics. In the end, the lecturer at the center of it survived from being forced out of her job, but in the end voluntarily resigned, which is, you could say, the terrorists kind of won in this case, which is a bit of a shame. But yes, for me, trigger warning is definitely butter. Doobie Monster. First time watching me for years. Well, I'm sorry if I've lost more hair in that time. Very good to have you back, Doobie Monster, and good to be talking to you. I hope you're enjoying the show. Yeah, this was, the whole thing about tolerating intolerant people and the intolerance of tolerant people. It's very kind of confusing, but yes, did I hear about the Japanese assemblyman calling homosexuals animals? I heard something about an assemblyman saying that homosexuality is abnormal. Which for me, the word that he used I saw was ijo, which is abnormal. There was a prejudicial nuance with the term, but some people, there was some debate about it online in the Japanese forums, saying, is it really discrimination to say that it's, well, maybe it is normal, and maybe, but the thing is, Japan's coming around on this very quickly, but it's not, like, given that it's not the full mainstream, well, again, the way that the comment was intended, it was clearly intended to say it was deviant or something like that, and in that sense, and he was forced to apologize for it. There was another one. I mean, Japan is, of course, a country of 120 million people, with all of these small towns, all with small local governments, all with stupid politicians. There was another guy last night in Saitama, in the town of Kawaguchi, an LDP representative, Mr. Hiroaki Noguchi, who was asked to comment on the increasing number of foreigners in the town that are drawing on Social Security, and he said, well, you look at the number of, there are like 20,000 foreigners, 22,000 foreigners, and 23,000 dogs, registered dogs in the city. He commented that soon we're going to have more foreigners than dogs here. And he got into some trouble for that. The left-wing establishment cracked down and said that, why are you comparing foreigners to dogs? It's clearly got a racist intent. Which it probably did. And again, it just comes down to the number of morons who just make it into local government is what it is. I mentioned earlier, it's not actually, I should have brought it and had it here handy. Tokyo handed out for free earlier this year a 340-page disaster preparedness guide, which even though it is in Japanese, it's all very well illustrated, and it's a guidebook on all sorts of cool things for disaster survival, which if you were here during the Great East Japan earthquake, when we had a few days of contaminated water and power shortages and stuff like that, we got a taste of what it would be like, and it's going to happen. There's some great things here. There's for example, so this is Lifehacker picked this up and said what a great manual it was, which is something I said myself before. Woof indeed, Mr. Cordychep. That's what I tweeted about it. I thought woof, 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 woof. So yeah, things like how to create partitions for when you have to sleep, like in gymnasiums, how to make a knapsack out of a pair of jeans, stuff like that. Just all sorts of just cool, very handy, very, very practical. I was really impressed by how practical and how well thought out the disaster guide was. If you live in Tokyo, you should have one, and pay attention to it, actually. So according to this, they actually have PDFs. Do they have an English site for this? That's interesting. I didn't even click on that. Let me have a look. We'll see if it's in English or in Japanese. They should be, actually, for Tokyo, they should make an English site. That is the book. With Bosai. Sai is the Japanese word for rhinoceros. So the Bosai is disaster, is the Japanese word for disaster prevention. Sai also means disaster. Oh, so look at that. They've got all the content there in English. Well, so there you go. You've got no excuse wherever you live. Probably the best disaster prevention, disaster preparedness manual in the world is put out by the Tokyo metropolitan government. It's impressive as hell. And I think even if you're living in Florida or wherever, it's worth downloading, or at least even just looking at. It's a great manual there, and good to see it being featured. Okay, when we do the next Tokyo Tonight, the next 2.5 Oyajis, it will be with Jake Knowlton, and Jake Knowlton is of course well known for being a huge AKB48 fan, which I'm not. I'll put that up front out there. I mean, it's not that bad. There's nothing wrong with a bit of cheesy pop music or whatever. I have more of a problem with the overall thing of what they are, which is that they're very mass marketed. They're very and CDs are used as things like voting papers for competitions. They're used as currency. Basically, the CDs sales, the CDs are used as tokens, for example, for being able to shake hands with members of the band as they go around the country and so on. And that is how the sum result of this treatment of AKB48 CDs, not just as musical CDs, but as tokens of currency, as voting ballots and stuff like that, has resulted in they have now pipped the rock band Bees as being the top selling artists of all time in Japan. The immediate reaction to this was the same as myself. I tweeted out, but even before I read the comments, it was like, okay, Japan has come to an end. And it's funny because like the first 6 comments all declared the same thing on this. If you go down, if you want to say in Japanese that Japan has come to an end, Nihon owata. You say usually owata, but it's like an internet slang to say owata like that. But basically everybody just says this is the end of the country. Japan has come to an end. And a lot of people complaining about the fact that these aren't real music sales. This is just, this is making a mockery of CD sales. The fact that they just base on the business system around these people, which itself has lots of positives and negative things. A creepy thing. Does someone say that it's creepy? Did I say it was creepy? I don't think I said it was creepy, but yeah, it is a little bit. It's basically marketing. It's sexualizing and marketing. I'm just trying to get myself into focus here. Underage girls, and that is a little bit creepy. Just got a shot of my hairy arms there, didn't you? There is a bit of that, but I'm okay with that. I mean, they don't actually. Some of them have gone off, and not actually from AKB though. From some of the other groups have gone off and are doing very well in porn careers after this. But I think the JK thing is a little bit misunderstood in Japan. Not that I'm a subscriber to it or a defender of it, but yes, the fact that they are now representative, by at least by music sales as the best-selling Japanese music band ever, upsets a lot of people because musically they're not really worthy of that role, of that rank. This is Kumamon. I was with the lad the other day. We saw Kumamon. Kumamon is the you should all know if you're watching this show. Kumamon is the #1 mascot in Japan. Japan is famous for its mascots that all the different regions have. Kumamon is the mascot for Kumamoto. Kuma means bear. Yes, he's basically just and part of the reason Kumamon is so successful is because when Kumamoto registered the mascot, they made the mascot free to use by anybody. They didn't put any restrictions or try to control the use or the merchandisation of Kumamon. So basically anybody can print Kumamon merchandise, pretty much. I'm not exactly sure how it works. I think there is some control and limitation of it. But it just means that Kumamon is just like everywhere. And as a result, when I asked my lad last year, where do you want to go for summer vacation? He's like, I want to go to Kumamoto. Why in the hell would you want to go to Kumamoto? He's like, I want to meet Kumamon. I want to meet Kumamon. And we did. And there he is. And credit to the lad. When Kumamon came off the stage with a handler to keep all the kids away, my son was able to dodge the handler, run underneath his arm, and grab Kumamon and crash tackle him. It was pretty good. He was able to pull him on the arm and yank him over. And same when we were in Kumamoto as well. He was able to actually make Kumamon fall over and climb on top of him and stare into his mouth and see the person inside. He was very proud of that. He's actually usually a really quiet kid, but around Kumamon he was like a crazed Beatles fan. And that is what Kumamon says. And you know what? If Kumamon had the #1 selling CD thing in Japan, I would be really comfortable with that. But yes, AKB. I'd take Kumamon over AKB myself if they were both putting out CDs. But that's just me. Indeed, Namaste is talking about Mr. Children, first band I ever learned to sing Japanese in was Mr. Children. They put out great music, very tough to sing. This was funny, the Oh My Girl thing. And you know what? I laughed out loud at this at first thing, but it's funny when you think about this. There's actually more going on with this than meets the eye. So this pop girl, this isn't strictly Japan, but it's funny and it got a lot of attention in Japan. I cannot post the Japanese coverage of it because the comments on it are completely racist and horrible, and it's terrible. But oh, you know what? They don't have a picture of the band anymore. Okay, but anyway, it's another AKB type pop group from K-pop group that's been touring around the world or whatever, and showed up in America for some concert that they were going to go to. And the very aptly named, it now seems, Oh My Girl group were pulled up at the airport in Los Angeles, and they were detained for 15 hours apparently. It appears because they were mistaken for traveling prostitutes. Well, the first thing I'd like to ask with this is, how has Miley Cyrus never been pulled up for this? If seriously, if airports are pulling up sexy music artists for looking too much like prostitutes, how has Miley Cyrus been able to travel anywhere at all? Like, seriously. But anyway, it turns out they got pulled out. And they were mistaken for prostitutes and they were sent home. And funny story, it's being shown everywhere. Lots of racist comments on Japanese forums, which are terrible, but it's funny. But you know what's interesting? The TSA and American Homeland Security, no one has commented on this. The only way this information got out was WM Entertainment, the entertainment company handling the girls. They're the only ones who knew about this, and they could have come up with any story to spin or explain this. It turns out, well, what the problem was that they were trying to enter America without a proper work visa, and they were there to work. Probably not as prostitutes, but they were obviously trying to show up on tourist visas or transit visas and go and play at this concert. And as the story says, the customs saw the equipment and everything that they were bringing, and they said it doesn't look like you're here for the purpose that your visa says you're here for, and so we're not going to let you in the country, and they got sent back. So rather than take the blame for not applying for proper visas and breaking the law, the management company, instead of taking the blame for not doing the paperwork they were supposed to do, they blamed the girls by saying that their talent looked like prostitutes, and somehow they thought that would be a positive spin, which it kind of is, because the story's on the BBC and it's everywhere, and I never heard of this band, and I've heard of them now, and it made me curious to want to go and see what the prostitute girl band looks like. But is this really the way that you want to spin a story about the fact that you basically fucked up the paperwork for your group on getting them to a concert in America? And exactly, Mr. Cordychep, exactly. There's no way. I mean, it's possible, and indeed the human trafficking of and the human trafficking of Korean women, the enslavement, the forced prostitution, and the forced travel of Korean prostitutes is a huge problem. A lot of them used to come to Japan until Japan shut down a lot of the visas that they were abusing to come into the country on, because it was putting Japan on watch lists for human trafficking because of the Korean gangs that were bringing them in here. And as a result, the women who are coming to Japan are going to America and Australia and everywhere else now. And it is a legitimate problem. But why is this Korean entertainment agency trying to spin off a story about getting the visas wrong by saying that they were mistaken for human traffickers with prostitutes? I don't know. But it's funny. Anyway. Ambil saying Donald Trump discussed send him to Syria. Well, he was going to go to Israel, wasn't he? Funny thing is, Israel is, of course, 20% Muslim. So even I'm sure when he found out about that, that's why he cancelled his trip to Israel. And there's two stories here in a row about Korea. This is another brief one, but talk about the comfort woman. Well, the whole comfort woman system of prostitutes for foreign troops, as existed for the Japanese, that many women were, again, I mean, you talk about real human trafficking and real, horrible stuff. Just as Korean women were victims under the Japanese occupation, where they were, pressed into working as prostitutes, deceived, and not able to escape, and went through all sorts of suffering at the hands of Japanese troops, put up to it often by their own families and by Korean pimps. But the Korean government angle, it definitely holds the line. This is something that Japan was responsible for. Well, it's funny, straight after World War II and through the 1960s to the 1980s even, and this is during the time that the current president's father was president, a system of kind of comfort women remained within Korea for women, serving U.S. troops. And women, there's a story here of a woman under that system who again suffered terribly. And again, this isn't to diminish the comfort woman thing at all. These women should be compensated. It should never have happened. And Japan was responsible for providing the system which took up these prostitutes. And how those women got there, whether it was by soldiers grabbing them, as we know happened in some cases, certainly in Southeast Asia, for example, or whether it was by other means of coercion. End of the day, these women were for intents and purposes, slaves performing sexual services. But the point is that just as it appears to be happening by mistake with K-pop bands right now, it was happening ever since World War II as well. It's a big problem over there. And this is something which they're now suing the Korean government there, and the Korean government appears to be fighting back against it. They don't want to admit liability for it themselves. Indeed, especially given that the current president's father's government, military government, was involved in it. But it's pretty horrible. On to brighter things. In Kyoto, there is a climbing gym which is apparently combining Karaoke with bouldering. I've got a friend who's into bouldering and into karaoke, so I forwarded this to him, and he's like, whoa, this is like the greatest thing ever. I'm not quite sure how this would work. I've done DDR, Dance Dance Revolution Karaoke, which is when you dance on the step machine while you sing at the same time. I did that in Korea, and that was pretty cool. That was like the something I thought you could definitely... I'm surprised I didn't catch on more in Japan, because yeah, it's a good workout and it's fun. Plus you can have someone singing and someone exercising and so on at the same time. It's pretty cool. But I don't know how this would work with a climbing wall or bouldering and karaoke at the same time. I think it was Showanai on Twitter who retweeted it with the what do I look like, a Von Trap. I guess it would be kind of awesome if you could sing the hills are alive with the sound of music. Well, you can sing the whole Sound of Music track. I get the whole album while perhaps climbing the walls. It would be pretty good. It could get you in the mood. It might even help you actually climb better. Moon Huang, they should apologize, like Australia did. Australia to apologize to the Aboriginals. I'm not sure about that. Oh, are you talking about Japan and the colonial period? I think Japan's apologized many more times and much better than Australia has. And that's what Australia hasn't given any compensation. Japan's given hundreds of millions of dollars compensation to Korea, over and over, and specifically with the Comfort Women thing as well, with the Asian Women's Fund. But that said, yeah, I mean, Australia should apologize and do more. In Japan, I think the women are entitled to compensation, and they should get it. So totally agreed on that as well. But anyway, yeah. Oh, karaoke and paintballing, Barringer. I think you could be onto something there. I would go for that. It'd be kind of, because that's right. It's how do you stay hidden? How do you sing and not give away you'd have to just be full on attack with that, wouldn't you? Which would make sense. So that would be pretty cool. Well, and James Zahara, the government, sorry, I'm getting into a legal thing here. The government is considered a living, it's an entity. It's a person which goes on through generations and through different, even if the people who did something bad weren't around. This is the whole thing we have in New Zealand and Australia about liability for what the previous generations did. And people say, well, it was a long time ago and everyone's dead. But no, the government, the government that stole land or did illegal stuff and still owes, people something, it's got to apologise, got to pay up. And New Zealand is trying to address it. Australia isn't really trying to address it. Just even saying sorry is taking them a long time. I mean, even admitting that they were human beings. Japan is stumbling through it. The current government obviously isn't the best one to be doing the apologising business, but I think it's been done pretty extensively in spite of what people think, otherwise. But anyway, I want to do this. That's right, hard rock music. That's what it'd be, bouldering music. It would be, and that would work actually. I think baby metal would probably go pretty well with bouldering. I mean, what kind of music do you think would go best with bouldering? But yeah, what to do when stopped by the police? Let's check this one out. There's another one I was expecting to see sooner here, which was a CNN thing, which was really, really annoying. The gist of this article is there's a lot of articles on what to do when stopped by the police by Debito Arudo, which is in here, and I think this person refers to it. The simple thing is this: don't be a dick. I know in America and New Zealand you can be to the police like, I know my rights, and refuse to cooperate, and you don't have probable cause, and where's a warrant, and you can't look at that and do that. But the moment that you do that, the police in Japan, they are very homey. Don't play that. Just understand. The moment, if you're like, hello officer, very good to see. Oh yes, here is my ID. Anything wrong, sir? Yes, this is my bicycle. Sure, take your time. This is my address. It might be for my last address, whatever. But seriously, fuck you. I won't do what you told me. Fuck the police or whatever. No, that is not going to help your situation. Even if you have rights that say that you can say that. So just don't be a dick. And be cooperative and be nice with them, because seriously, it kind of sucks to be a police officer in Japan as well. So yeah, this was the thing I was talking about earlier. Oh, you know what? This is going to get music, which you're not going to hear me, so I'm going to stop that. Boom. Stop it. No. Sorry, I stopped that. But check this out. This is a video shot by Shoot Tokyo with this DJI Osmo mount. It's like $850, which is still way too much. But yeah, I'll come back to this quickly. Japan needs to apologize via Dogeza to Japan for Korea to actually acknowledge it, and Korea still might accept it. Well, yeah. So that's the whole thing. Japan could dogeza. It could do that as well. And Korea will never accept it. And even the president said that herself. She said that like a year ago in a UN speech. She said like even for 1,000 years, Korea is going to keep being the victim of Japan. Hey Maverick, good to see you. Which is to say, doesn't mean that Japan shouldn't apologize. It just means that what it's done is probably more than enough. And the idea that Japan can ever do an apology, which is going to mean it's going to be done, is wishful thinking. Which is why the continued calls for extra apologies, I think, can be ignored. I honestly think that. I think the apologies that have been done are sufficient, and the idea that somehow these things can be settled finally are wishful thinking, unfortunately. But that's the price of what Japan did, is they have to put this up with this forever. And Korea gets some degree of right or justification, demanding it forever, and that sucks, but that's how it is. This thing, it costs $850. It's a motorized gimbal. I've seen other ones like it. This one is very good. It's too expensive. For half the price, I would start to consider it, at an extreme. But there again, it's got its own lens and everything attached to it, and it's super cool. Go and check out how stable this is. All handheld. It's really, really incredible, and it does make me think I want one, but it's expensive. Oh man, check this out. This company is going to be starting a service modifying airplanes, I think 747s or something, to put this on the roof so that you can pay to sit in a glass bubble on the top, or acrylic bubble on the top of an airplane, and have a view like this looking all the way around. That is awesome. I want that. I would ride on a plane with that. That would be awesome. So that is really, really cool. Just put that there because I thought that was awesome. Oh, not that one there, sorry. Here's an interesting one. Texan in Tokyo tweeted the other day. She wants to do a self-starter to self-publish all the colored comics that she's been drawing recently. Would people be interested in supporting a Kickstarter if she did it? I would. I think her stuff is excellent. So, if you are supportive of that as well, go and tweet her back and say that you'll support her Kickstarter. And if there's enough people, maybe she will be doing that. Phoenix787, well, apparently exactly, Mr. Cordy Chip took the word out of my mouth. Take all of my money, exactly, and make it go to outer space. I don't think that's asking too much. And that's right, I'm pretty sure people are going to be shagging up there pretty much in no time, but there you go. Bacon. I see. I'm glad everyone liked that. I'm going to go back to it because I think this is awesome. I would pay a lot of money to sit in those seats. I mean, just for the suntan, it would be awesome. Anyway, let's come back to this. If you support, go and tell Texan in Tokyo that you would support her doing a Kickstarter for that. I think it's a good idea, and she does excellent stuff. So go show some support. New Zealand, the initial vote on which flag of like 5 choices to run off against the current flag of New Zealand, which is just like that flag except with the English flag, the UK flag in the top left. The one which I like the best, I'm not entitled to vote because if you're away from New Zealand for more than 3 years, you lose a right to vote. So I'm not registered in New Zealand. I can't vote. I'm basically like a North Korean. New Zealand, you suck when it comes to treating your overseas citizens, and of which there are many like me, but it doesn't matter. That is the flag I would have voted for anyway, so good job, New Zealand. The only problem is that most New Zealanders don't want to change the flag. There's going to be a runoff vote, I think, in February between this and the existing flag to decide which flag, whether they will replace the existing flag or they will go to this much better flag. This flag is awesome, and let me explain to that for a minute. That is a fern indeed. The fern is our national symbol in New Zealand, in sports events and the Olympics. Can't zoom on that, damn it. Let me see if I can do something with this. No, it's not letting me do anything. Okay, well anyway, so our national colour, like for sporting events, we're like ISIS. We just wear black. So it means if we're at the Olympics or pretty much any sport and you're looking for the New Zealand athletes, they're always wearing all black. Indeed, our famous rugby team is called the All Blacks because of the colour of the uniform. So, replacing the part of the flag which had like the English flag or the British flag on it, putting black there, and the fern, again, the fern is our national sporting symbol. So, again, all of our New Zealand sports teams, even teams that don't wear black, even like the All Whites, our soccer team, which wears all white, they have a black fern symbol on again, it's a national sporting symbol. So for me, here is something which is different to the Australian flag. It is definitely, I mean, the current flag has nothing New Zealand about it, other than the Southern Cross, which we share with the entire bottom half of the planet. And nothing else. It's a naval insignia from the 19th century British Navy that was just adapted randomly without any imagination, and we stick to it. But this flag is a flag that actually, has some meaning for something about New Zealand as a country that's different to being an appendage of the, a remote, forgotten, unimaginative appendage of the British Empire. Get rid of the current flag and replace it with this. That's my 2 cents. I think this is an excellent. I think this is the best choice. And I really hope that New Zealanders are not boring, stupid idiots and do as is expected to do and vote to not change it. I think we should change it. I think our flag is stupid. I live in Australia and New Zealand. I grew up in both countries. I couldn't tell the difference between my own country's flag and Australia's flag till I was like 8 years old. And both flags are stupid because they, Britain, thank you for, colonizing us and giving us our language and laws and all that sort of stuff. But job well done. We don't need to have a quarter of our flag taken off by them anymore. So it's plus it would just be awesome if we could actually show the backbone to do something to show any sign of independence from Britain before Australia could, because frankly New Zealand's always been kind of weak in this regard. When Australia's always been much more confident and much more self-assertive of its own identity, New Zealand's always been kind of oh, please don't leave us, England, which is just lame. It's really embarrassing to be part of a country which just holds on to a colonial heritage when everyone else wants to assert their own identity. I really hope that New Zealand's actually matured enough as a country that we want to be independent. We want to have our own symbols, which this is. So yes, I'm being a bit of a New Zealand right-wing nationalist at the moment, but damn it, change the freaking flag, please. So that is what I have to say about that. Hey, Waito-san, good to see you indeed. Good to see you too. That's me going off on the New Zealand flag. Okay. You want to hear some rage? Here is some rage. I read this today. I didn't need to read it because I knew everything put up by Junko Ogura, Ewan McCurdy, Will Rippey. Is that Ripley? Was it Ripley or Rippey? I don't even care. It's from CNN, and CNN blogs and everything that CNN puts on the TV and on the internet sucks. And Yoko Wakatsuki, I'm sorry, you're accountable for this as well. So, 10 ways to avoid tourist trouble in Japan. Now, what this title implies is that according to the being Welsh, no, not being Welsh, it's okay. It implies somehow that you can while being a tourist, a normal tourist, you could get into trouble in Japan. And this is how to avoid getting into trouble while being a tourist in Japan. Well, interesting thing that they talk about the case of Patrick Schwarzenegger, the dickhead son of the governor of California, ex-governor of California, who was going around like pranking local people and just being a complete dickhead. And basically they've come up with 10 pieces of advice for Americans traveling to Japan of little tricks that they should follow to avoid running into trouble as tourists. So let's have a look and see what the advice of CNN is on this. The first one is no jaywalking, always use the crosswalk. Well, it's kind of common sense, again, you can look around and follow if other people do that, but fine, don't be a dick and walk through traffic or whatever. And yes, the only gay in the village, I like that one. There's never mind, Amber, you distracted me, but I do like that skit. Smokers can be fined for lighting up outside. Well, if there are no smoking areas, don't smoke. Don't be a dick. Why would you travel to a foreign country and smoke in its non-smoking areas? Yeah, don't do that. Don't litter. The streets are immaculate. I'm sorry. They're giving advice, like as a tourist. This would be a trap if you're a tourist. When you're overseas and you're smoking in non-smoking areas and jaywalking and throwing garbage away, at this point, even just for these 3 points, if you've hit even 2 of these 3, you are a complete asshole. I mean, you're just a complete asshole. This is not tourism advice. This is just like going through life not being a complete dickhead. And this, again, just is completely consistent with, this is obviously normal to people at CNN. Maybe, if you actually looked at CNN's coverage of the whole Japan earthquake thing, this is kind of consistent. Maybe they have a lot of sociopaths. I don't know, but okay. Make sure litter is thrown in the correct trash can. Well, again, why would you, not throw litter in the correct trash can? Just, don't point fingers at people. what the fuck? I mean, seriously. Again, don't be an asshole. All of this is just saying exactly. Ben Dunker's put another useful one for the CNN list. Don't murder senior citizens. These are advice. This is advice for avoiding tourist trouble. This is what they're calling this. Whereas this is just a list. It's also very rude to cut in line. No shit. Seriously. Everything here is just 10 ways that if okay, I've got a new title. I got several new titles for this. When on the train, set ringers to silent and avoid talking on cell phones. Actually, yes, I have been with an American on a cell phone talking for a long time. And it will get a clue, and you can tell. Even my cousin was here, and he was here for like 30 seconds and saw no one talking on trains and followed the mood here. Take shoes off at the door when visiting someone's home. Yeah, don't walk with shit all through the house. Indeed, good idea. No need to tip when eating out or using taxis. Fine. No swimsuits and onsens. Go naked instead. No swimsuits and onsens. I mean, this is honestly, this is like brain defective. Whoever wrote this, I mean, what this is, let's go back to the top. 10 ways to not be an asshole in life. 10 ways to, I mean, seriously. What the F is wrong? What the fuck is wrong with the people who wrote this? Will Ripley, believe it or not, Ewan McCurdy, Junko Ogura, Yoko Wakutsuki. Oh my god, you should get some therapy. What the hell? And seriously, like what CNN passes off as being used. I mean, seriously, if you hit even like 3 of these 10 things, if these are like high risk parameters for you, do this. Hand your passport back to Homeland Security and never leave the country. Do that. You'll do your country a huge, and not just Americans, New Zealanders, Australians, anyone. If even 2 of the things on this list are a challenge for you, never travel ever again. Never go anywhere. Don't even leave your house. Don't even go out in society. I mean, these are not little tricks to avoid tourist trouble in Japan. These are fundamentally, as Raj mentions, you'll probably get stabbed in London for this. So, sorry, no offense, Alan. I'm not talking about you personally. Oh God, no. You know what I mean, right? So anyway, honestly, I tried. It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark. I try to look away from CNN, but but sometimes I catch a glimpse and my whole face just all melts because these idiots. Oh yeah. The last I didn't even get to this. The Yasuni bomber. The Yasuni bomber. They caught him flying back into Japan. Why would you fly back into Japan? Apparently, they found in his suitcase more explosive. They found gunpowder, more explosive materials, pipe bomb making materials, similar to the ones that we used in the first bomb. He's still denying it, and the Korean government has lodged a complaint with NHK for showing the bombing terrorist suspect's face in public because it's a violation of his rights. South Korea, this guy. So, how South Korea allowed him not only to come once to Japan with bomb-making materials and to plant a bomb in Yasuni, but the fact that he went back and then they let him, and they didn't catch him when they knew who he was, and then they let him get on a plane back to Japan again with apparently gunpowder in his suitcase. They actually let him board an airplane with bomb-making materials to take to Yasuni in Japan, and they're complaining to the Japanese government that they showed his face. I mean, and the same as with that Chinese guy who threw a Molotov cocktail and set part of the Yasuni ginger door on fire, and he went back to Korea, was arrested in Korea, and the court said, we won't try him in Korea because, bombing or, carrying out an act of arson against the Yasuni shrine for the war dead in Japan is a political crime, and it's justifiable. They let him go. So, it's funny, this guy, he should have turned himself in Korea because he probably would have been let off, but he came back. And by all accounts, it's probably because he screwed up the first time. I mean, forget what you say about Yasuni. I mean, Jesus, Korea let this guy get back on the plane with bomb-making materials and fly over to Japan. They actually had to arrest him in Haneda, which makes me wonder how in the hell did he get to Haneda with that suitcase. Crazy. My good friend Steve Miller at Asian News Weekly has got a year in review over there. Go check it out with all the exciting stuff of the year. And I think we're back now to where we were. Oh, yeah, okay, there's a couple more. Japanese women are fighting in court to be able to keep their surnames after marriage because right now it's forced to be changed unless you marry a foreigner like me, in which case you get to keep it. So, don't fight in court. Just marry foreigners and have foreign kids. Like, that'll be awesome. Lots of half kids. That'll fix it. This is an interesting one. I put up a kind of a impassioned tweet about this today. I'm going to wrap this up very quickly, but there is a reconciliation tour where they're bringing together bomber pilots from World War II who were responsible for the fire bombings that dropped, they killed hundreds of thousands, millions of Japanese people probably in total, who were crashed and became, who crashed and were captured and became prisoners of war of the Japanese, and bringing them to meet the survivors of the fire bombings that they delivered to Japan. This guy, he's kind of going through, he actually went to a museum of the Tokyo firebombing, which in one night killed more than 100,000 people, basically all innocent civilians for the most part, by pouring petrol over them and setting them on fire or suffocating them by taking all the oxygen away. Actually, you think about the Holocaust, like the gas chambers, they couldn't kill that many people that quickly with gas. They did it here with, incendiaries and flamethrowers dropped from planes. This guy was detained. This guy met a survivor, and he said, I was up there that night. It was awful. Well, I'm sure it was awful looking at it from an airplane where you were dropping the petrol on people and setting them on fire from. I'm sure it was even more terrible from the ground. This line, I'm sorry, this one got me. You're a survivor, I'm a survivor too. Well, if you read on, you discover here's a survivor of captivity. And indeed, there was this thing where one of the great war crimes that Japanese committed during World War II was when they caught a lot of these pilots who had been doing this, they tried them for war crimes, for killing, for mass killing civilians, and executed a lot of these pilots, which in itself was treated as a war crime after the war, saying that there was no war crime, that the war crimes trials that they gave were invalid. But seriously, Japan of course did lots of war crimes itself, no question. But that said, if killing 100,000 civilians in one night with incendiaries is not a war crime, what in the hell is? Honestly, this guy, he should have been tried as a wife, and given that what some of the Japanese were put to death for, like giving natto to prison camp survivors and stuff like that. The most extreme case, some were executed. Well, in a world of fair and even and handed and blind justice, this guy should have been, he should have gotten at least the same penalty. And it's good that he's coming to terms with, I guess, what he did. But seriously, this is the equivalent of a gas chamber operator in the Nazi concentration camps meeting the Jews and saying, "Hey, I'm a survivor too." Not exactly. It's not exactly the same. Someone, Natch Sonic, or he tweeted on Twitter when we saw this. Did he ask if he could just lightly singe the victim one more time? It's not cool what he did. And no, natto's not bad, but apparently some Westerners were pretty alarmed by it enough that they actually got prison guards executed for it. And oh man, we are over time, and I'm going to keep going through. Watami, after fighting for a long time against a lawsuit for an employee who worked themselves to death, finally settled because they'd been told that they were going to lose. This is a food chain, by the way. The chain of restaurants is called Gohan, and don't go to them because they're just a horrible company. This is the Akatsuki Japanese probe. After 5 years of missing an attempt to enter orbit around a different planet, which no Japanese space probe or satellite had ever done before, they actually did another loop around the sun. It took another 5 years to come back and line up, and now they are in orbit around Venus after the second try 5 years later, which is pretty awesome. Amber, war is war, no rules, you're afraid. Well, yeah, but if there are no rules in war, then the Holocaust was okay, and the rape of Nanking was okay. So I don't know, we say that in World War II the rules were, if you win, you get to make the rules. Now we try to be a little bit better than that. There are rules. My dad was in the military. Military follow, rules more than anything. The military need rules more than anything. Military without rules, you've just got honestly, you've just got sort of Burundi type situations like what they have there at the moment. Yes, the idea of discipline, war forces are not supposed to do that sort of thing. Great news anyway that they got the signal around Venus, which is pretty cool, and there's an astronomy geek that's going to go, oh man, there's not enough time, is there? Okay, the last one is Japan trying to destroy tattoos. Talked a little bit about this week. Yeah. Well, there's definitely they're putting a lot of pressure. This is Brian Ashcroft. He's a cool dude. It is at the moment there are more and more foreigners coming to Japan with them. There is definitely a lot of increasing regulation and squeeze put on, particularly here it says in Osaka, because traditionally it's always only been gangsters who have them, and in trying to push gangsters out of society, they've put bans on them, and the easiest way to do it is to ban tattoos, which of course affects foreigners who recently in increasing numbers are coming to Japan with tattoos. That said, also Yakuza numbers are declining. The Yamaguchi Lumi fell apart recently, so perhaps soon it's going to be better. But and with the Olympics coming up, I think you'll see that the restrictions on tattoos will have to be lifted. But that said, no, they are definitely clamping down on it, but they're clamping down on it because in Japan, traditionally, the people who get tattoos are gangsters. They're mafia, and you get a tattoo knowing the exclusion. It's a choice that you make. Even if you make it in America, you will make that you're signing up for the social consequences of having a tattoo. And there are social consequences in America. That reality is changing, but it's not the same in Japan, and you can't expect everywhere to accommodate your choice the same way that it's accommodated for you back home. And you should do your research on this stuff before you come over here as well. It's a choice that you make with consequences, and the consequences are you can't get into onsen, you can't get some jobs, you're gonna have to cover up those tattoos a lot of the time, and that's why it's really not a good idea if you're gonna get them to get tattoos in places that are not cover upable, like your neck or your face. It is surprising to me when I've gone back how much tattoos have increased recently. Particularly in Australia and in America, like how fashionable it's become, and I think that is going to have a knock-on effect to Japan. It's going to force Japan to loosen up. But that's it. So it's a little bit of an exaggeration that they're trying to outlaw tattoos altogether, and there is an increasing fashion tattoo thing as well. But at the same time, I mean, the reason is that they've been regulating it are legit, and they actually are, I think, more important than the need to protect a few foreign tourists who are coming here with tattoos to get rid of, to try to eradicate organized crime. So anyway, it is late. I didn't think I'd go this long tonight, but I did go this long. Some tattoos, by the way, will allow you to have tattoos, but there again, the ones that allow tattoos will also have gangsters, so there you go. I am going to show you the track that I made earlier. It is available on SoundCloud. If you put your mouse over the over the video, you'll be able to see a little information thing, or in the video information that links to where you can download the track that I made. But that said, the track that I made is here. So let me just check where we're at. I think it's probably this one. It's probably the main one. So let me play the outro and say good night, good evening to you all. I'll be back for one last show for this year next week. That's right, the 20th, just before I go away. I'm going away to Australia from the 22nd, so I won't be able to do a show on the 27th, but I will be back on the 2nd, so I guess I'll be able to do a show on the 3rd. So I'll probably be back rocking with Tokyo Tonight on the 3rd of January, but I do have one more show next week, so I look forward to seeing you guys for that. And boom, let me hold that up there, and let me check that the volume is not too crazy. I'd love to show something of Australia, but the internet there is terrible. But yeah, I'll definitely post some stuff. yes, that is a disco beat. Yeah, maybe Sean, bro. That's probably right. So there you go. It's a little bit of a jam. You can download it. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next week. It's a long show, but I hope you enjoyed it, and peace. Boom. Okay, let's shut this thing down. Telescope's over there. Stop streaming, and booyah.